Welcome to Amazing Amazon on Captain TV, your favorite program where we get to have a conversations with Amazons. People share their experience, their challenges, their success stories. This is where you get motivated and inspired by these Amazons. So welcome on board. I am Tosin Adeyemi. Africa is blessed. Nigeria is blessed. Nigerians are blessed and talented people. We need to understand the need why we ought to embrace our local made product. How often do you even embrace made in Nigeria? Have you even thought about it that why do I not like to embrace made in Nigeria product? So today on the show, I'll be having a conversation with my guest who has a platform where she uses to project local made products, and she'll be telling us why we need to embrace our made in Nigeria and the impact it has on the economy. So join me. All right, welcome to the interview segment. My guest for today is an entrepreneur, also advocate for made in Africa products for child and maternity care. So today we'll be talking about a lot of things. She'll be telling us how she started her maternity care business and also why Nigerians should embrace our local made product. So this is what we are going to be discussing today. So meet my guest for today in person of Aronke Emmanuel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I look good. You look
Such,
good.
thank you. You look good too.
Thank
and
you.
it's such a privilege to be sitting with you today,
Yes.
having this conversation.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. You know, entrepreneurs like you, people who are successful like you, it's good to move closer to you so you learn the, the strategies that you are using. Like, yes, I'm very sure that we are going to learn a lot today because this topic especially is something that we need to create more awareness about. A lot of people do not know. But let's start with you first. Let's meet you. Who is Aronke Emmanuel? Tell us about yourself, more about yourself.
Aronke Emmanuel, what do I say? I'm an entrepreneur and I've been on this journey for almost 20 years.
Wow.
I started as a student in the university, just doing the buying and selling, looking out for problems within the university that I could meet or provide solutions to. I remember that in my second year in the university, I was already involved with a company of students where we were proffering solutions to some of the students' need. I remember we did something called the Brain Trust, and this was after a massive tsunami wave of failures in school, and this was supposed to help students to develop, their core skills, and ensure that they pass their examinations and a lot more things like that. I also remember I was heading a team that was doing deliverables, helping students to get their groceries from supermarkets around the town of Ile-Ife then, and delivering to their doorsteps, and
as a student then.
As a student,
that's what they call. How do they call it? There's a name they call it when you're working and schooling at the same time. They call it, is it Jama? What
I don't remember. I
don't. That's what you were doing there.
But that was what I was doing. And to be honest with you, apart from doing business, making money, I was also acing my academics. So it didn't affect my. I remember my father saying to me, because my father is a lecturer and he was a lecturer in the same university that I was attending.
Wow.
So I was coming from home basically every day. And when I asked this permission to start doing business in my second year, I was like, yeah, go for it.
That's good.
And he said, the only thing is, do not forget that your primary responsibility in school is academics.
Yeah.
So do not let business distract you. And business didn't distract me. I remember after leaving the company of students I was doing business with at the time, and started out on my own. My first profit then, as at 2003, I think, was 40,000 naira.
Wow.
I was happy.
40,000 naira
Then
was
big
money.
money.
Yeah.
I remember my hands gave me clothes on credit at 80K, and after selling, I made 120,000.
Wow.
And I even still had some things that people didn't buy, so I was ecstatic. I was like, this is how business is. Yes, this is what I'm going to do.
At least that encouraged you that,
it
seems this is where I made it.
And I remember at around that time, maybe my final year in the university, my dad's friend, who was also a lecturer at the time, asked me a question when he saw how enthusiastic I was about entrepreneurship, how every opportunity to do something different that would wow people, that would, also make people part with their money, how enthusiastic I was about those things. He called me one day and asked, what do you want to do when you graduate from the university? And I said, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do business. I want to have my own business.
What were you studying?
So I studied demography and social statistics.
Wow.
So it was
It's not really in line.
It wasn't anything in line.
At all.
Anyone would expect that I would aspire to work in the UN or things like that at the time, all these international organizations. But that was what I wanted to do. I remember
it wasn't because of the profit, the money.
No, it wasn't because that's what I was about to say. That I remember that for the longest time, I was born into a family of entrepreneurs. My grandmother was a businesswoman, a very successful businesswoman in Ibadan. My mom did business along with our work. I know my dad also started out doing business before he eventually became a lecturer. So it's innate, it's inborn. So for the longest time, I've always loved to do business. And my oldest friends will attest to it that everything I've ever talked about, I'm sure none of them has ever heard me say I wanted to be this in terms of career. They've always known me as wanting to own my own businesses. And when I told my dad's friend that, he said, does your father know? I said, no. He said, keep it that way.
Why?
Because, of course, he knowing my father, also knowing how lecturers think, most of them usually want their children to either toe the academic line, or become technocrats of some sort, So he said, just keep it that way. And I was like, okay, sir. So that also kind of gave me some wings, or some air in my wings to, go ahead and go for it. As soon as I graduated, maybe I had a few opportunities to work. I had a few opportunities to get into paid employment. I don't think there was any paid employment I did for more than 1.5 years at this stretch. I always just wanted to get out. I wanted to get out because something within me was not being satisfied. I tried as much as possible to give it the longest push, just to make my parents happy, that their child was now working, earning some money,
And they never knew that was what you were planning to settle for.
Well, we had conflicts. We had some conflicts at home. When they offer me this job, I say, no, that's not what I want to do. They ask, so what do you want to do? And then I say something in the line of business, and
they'll be like, do you know what you're saying at all?
No. My mom was like, get a pensionable job. And by the time I had my first child, the work environment became quite unbearable for me to juggle motherhood, being a new mom, and my job at the time. My job was really demanding. I would come back home sometimes at 1 a.m. You know, my husband couldn't wait for me to leave the job. And so when I had my first child and I resumed back from maternity leave, it was on the first day of resumption that I tendered my resignation. You know, when I saw everything that they were trying to put me through, you know, at the time.
You couldn't cope.
I knew I couldn't come without a house help, with no one staying with me
To assist.
you know, to assist me, with no child care facility, even at the job. You know, I couldn't leave a 3-month-old baby or a 4-month-old baby at the time at a daycare that I hadn't even checked out, or I didn't know how to. So it was a no-brainer for me. I just quit and started doing my research. It's a long story. I mean,
All right. I know it's a long story.
Yeah, I've tried to summarize as
Yes.
much as possible.
All right. Let's start with you. Yeah, you've explained how you started the business, but I want us to know more about your childhood. How can you describe your childhood? So
Okay,
let's
so-
begin with that.
My childhood, let me say that I have the most supportive parents in the world. The most supportive parents in the world. Meaning that nothing I set out to do was really in conflict with them. They just needed me they needed me to convince them that I would make a success of it. My father and my mother would support me emotionally when business is not working, financially when I needed to get a loan. I've never gotten a loan from anybody, from any bank for business. It's been my parents, you know, that have been my financiers, you know, in that sense. I would loan money from them. I would return, you know, whenever it was due to be returned. And I grew up in a very loving family. 3 children, first of 3.
Wow.
You know, nuclear family, no polygamous drama. God has been kind. You know, my parents have been friends since they were children in primary school.
Wow.
So the love in the home was real. You know, we were brought up with love. We never saw them fight. You know, of course, my mom, being the dramatic one, always had issues. You know, but they never fought. You know, my mom would get angry, you know, and then maybe just go and isolate herself somewhere and sulk a bit, you know, and then my dad would apologize, and that's it. No real fights, no fights. You know, and it shaped who I became, who I was then, and how I grew up.
With your other siblings as well.
Yes, with my other siblings. You know, we're 3 girls.
Wow.
All girls.
All girls.
And it also helped to solidify the relationship between all 3 girls. Even though it didn't start out like that, I have a sister that I didn't quite get along with. My immediate younger sister, you know, we're always at each other's neck. You know, the sibling rivalry thing. It wasn't because there was no love, but it was because she's a stronger personality. And being the younger one, the African family system would not support a younger, stronger personality, you know, dominating or being domineering over the older one.
Yeah.
You know, so it caused a lot of conflicts between us. However, we eventually resolved it after so many years. You know, maturity helped us, but there was one thing that even that I knew that I could hold on to, that even though my sister and I were always conflicted about a lot of things, I couldn't deny the love that she had for me. I couldn't, because even in that state of ediness, you know, she would do the most sincere, adorable things for you. You know, even in a state of readiness, she could go out, see something really nice, and say, oh, this thing would fit my sister. And she would buy it and just come to you and say, take, I bought it for you.
Regardless of
Regardless of what
issues.
it is. You
know,
know,
I get one thing a lot that some parents, maybe now or maybe it happened to you, so that's why I'm asking you that. Did your parents like have a favorite child among the three of you?
No, absolutely not. Till
Are
date.
you sure?
Till date.
But I do hear that parents usually have favorites from their children.
Let me say
It might be the last child or the first or the
and
middle.
Let me also say that this has impacted on how I relate to my children. I feel like I'm incapable of having a favorite child. No matter how hard I try. Every child is different. Every child is different. And rather than see one child and love one child even more, I would say that I look at what is unique, beautiful about this one child and encourage it and love upon it. You know, so in both my children, I see their uniqueness and I just love upon that uniqueness. So it's not in their person, so to speak. It's in what makes them who they are. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So for my parents, for instance, till date, three of us cannot tell who is our parents' favorite.
And I think that is really good because
we can't tell.
Yeah, because we've seen cases where parents who even make it obvious to other children that they love it's usually the last child.
Let me bust your bubble. So as a first child, I always thought in my mind, I'm my parents' favorite, you know.
As the first child.
The first child, because I did everything that I felt they liked. Not because I tried to please them, but because if they guide me this way, I would go that way, you know, except of course in the difference of me wanting to be an entrepreneur. That was about the only area that I didn't quite, maybe my parents will have something else to say about that actually. But I remember that I felt my father and my mother loved me the most. I didn't give them problems. When I wrote my WAEC and NECO, I made it first sitting.
Wow.
When I did my JAMB, I made it first sitting. In fact, for my JAMB, I remember that my father promised me a car. Imagine, he said, the day before my JAMB, he said, if you make your JAMB in your first sitting, I'll buy you a car. Hey!
At that age?
I was like, I was 15 years old. I was like, hey! This
maybe electronic, maybe toy car or something.
Bobo for me. He wants to give me cold zobo to drink. You know, but deep within me, I kept telling myself, I must not disappoint this man.
Yeah.
I have to do it. I have to do something. So when my JAMB result came out, that's another miracle on its own. When my JAMB result came out, I think my dad's friend went to check for me and said I had 164. Hey! I cried. But in my cries, I was speaking to God. I had just become born again then. So I told God, I said, it's not possible. This is not what you told me. It's not. How can I stay at home 1 year? This cannot be my JAMB result. So every time anyone asked, have you seen your JAMB result? What was your score? I'll be like, I'm not sure yet, but I'll check. The people who heard my score would say, oh, I learned you at 165. I said, that's not my score. I'll check for my score soon. And so I pushed my mom practically. Mommy, please go back to JAMB office. Go and check for my real result. This is not my result. I was so confident in the faith I had in God that, God cannot fail me. Yeah, that God cannot fail me. I prepared for that JAMB like my life depended on it. So about 3 weeks after the first check, My mom went back to the JAMB office to check my results, and she came back with a slip this time, and I had over 200.
Wow. Are you serious?
I'm serious. I had 208.
So what? Whose result was that?
I don't know, and I don't care. I don't know. I don't care, and because I'm a Christian, I want to believe that.
And they didn't take any legal action, like, how would you give my child another person's result or something score?
Now, we had a slip, The first man who went to check didn't come back with a slip. He only checked for myself and his children.
Okay.
And in that case, all of us failed, But when my mom came back with the slip, there I was, 208. That was how I made it. And a year later, exactly a year, no, it wasn't up to a year. I remember it wasn't up to a year. My dad bought me the car.
Wow.
He actually fulfilled his promise. So that's the kind of home I grew up in, where my dad made us huge promises.
And you would definitely
to motivate us to get things done. And he would fulfill them.
So you had your first car at the age of 16?
16.
Wow.
I actually started driving at 16.
16?
Yes.
But you learned the driving skills before then?
No, I learned it at 16.
Wow.
I learned it at 16. I remember learning driving and being able to move the car by myself without anyone sitting with me in 10 days. By the 10th day, I was already going out by myself. It was a necessity at the time. My dad was to travel out of the country. My mom was not staying with us full time because she had to work out of state. Okay. So someone needed to be taking my sister to school, to primary school at the time. Nobody else. I was going to be the only one at home with them. I was in the university. So by default, it fell on me that I needed to go and learn driving.
Oh.
And that's how I started driving at 16.
Started driving at 16. That's really, really, is unusual.
It's unusual, but it was.
I like the fact that your dad made that promise and you didn't disappoint him, and he actually
by
fulfilled.
God's help.
Because if you hadn't taken that step of maybe involving your mom to go to JAMB
I would have
office,
taken that 164. I would have sat at home. I probably have missed the admission.
who knows if some other student like that are experiencing the same,
course,
and a lot of people won't be able to take it up like that.
A lot of students
just
have missed
accept.
admissions because they got the wrong results. I've heard many stories like that afterwards. A lot of students have missed admissions.
So this is a message to everyone, no? If you know you are sure and confident of what you have written, and you said that your JAMB score, your score whatsoever, maybe WAEC or something, is not up to, you should take that step.
Just go and check it.
Please, it's important. It's important. I've learned that today, so I know that is a take-home expo. All right, let's talk about your education. Where did you school? You said you studied
demography and social
demography.
statistics.
So while you were in school, did you experience any sort of bullying while you were in school? Maybe from your child, maybe on primary, secondary?
Actually, yes. From primary school, I was bullied. I was bullied in primary school because I was a very quiet child. Very quiet, very timid too. Easygoing, just in my own lane. So,
but just because you're always quiet,
yeah.
And why would they bully you for being quiet?
So most times it was the boys that bullied me, not even the girls. It was the boys that bullied me, and on 2 occasions that I remember, my mom had to go to school. The first time, I think I remember that girls were playing on the field, and then the boys came and said they wanted to play soccer and asked us to leave. Now, the game we were playing, I was the one that was, what do they call that thing? I was blindfolded.
Okay.
And I was supposed to be looking for things on the field. So, of course, when the boys chased the girls away, I didn't know that they had been chased away. I was just there with my blindfold looking for things. And then the boy comes and says, "Get out of the field, Aronke." And I'm like, "Who are you? Why should I get out of the field?" And the boy kept on harassing me, but I wouldn't give in. And then he stepped on me. He stepped with his soccer boots. He stepped on my fingers.
Wow.
And it was so swollen. By the time I got home, my mom couldn't take it. Next morning, my mom marched me to school, found the boy, told the boy, "If you ever lay your hand on my child again, you will go to jail." That boy remembers that statement till date because we are now friends. The next time he saw my mom at a party, that must be maybe 15 years later,
Okay.
or even more. We had graduated from the university. When he saw my mom, he said, "That woman that wanted to jail me." And then the second case, the boy outrightly just bullied me and beat me so much. And my mom went to the school the next day and beat the boy. Beat the boy and sent a message to his parents, that.
But why didn't your mom report the case to the school management?
Of course, it was right in front of the headmistress.
Okay, in front of the headmistress.
That she beat the boy. But that's my mom. She would not play with her children. Like nothing comes close to her children. She still tries to do it now, even though I tell her, "Mama, I'm too old for all that." But she still tries to, be the guardian angel, always protective, looking out for you. I'm like, I don't need it. Save it for your grandchildren. I don't need it anymore.
Okay, let's talk about in your journey so far, can you share the happiest day, the happiest moment of your life? Just briefly, share with us the happiest moments of your life.
There have been many happy days, and
Yeah,
I'll be
I know.
honest, there have been very happy days, and I would say that apart from finding joy within, and being intentional about just staying happy, my choice of my spouse is also something that makes me happy every time. Not just because he's a good man, but I see our synergy, how it helps us to thrive as a couple, So it's not like it's been all rosy, and it's not like even that synergy is all synchronized every time. No. But my happiest moments are those moments I shared with him. Yes.
That's interesting. All right, let's move further. We'll be going on a short break now. So when we return, we'll now talk more on what you do, which is maternity care business. We also talk about why Nigerians should embrace local made products. I am really eager to have the conversation. So viewer, please stay with us. We'll be back after this time out. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, let's talk about the platform that you created. Tell us, what is the platform all about?
Okay, so Child Afrique is an online marketplace for maternity care products, child care products that are made by African brands. So even the thought that maybe Nigerian products are not standard, it doesn't even hold water, because we don't only have Nigerian brands, we have good Nigerian brands, we have African brands from other African nations. We have vendors from Ghana, from Cameroon on our platform, and from Kenya. We also have from the UK African manufacturers that are in the UK, but cater to the African community in the UK, in the US, and in Canada. So it's a It's something that cuts across. The only requirement is that these things are made for Africans, and wherever you are in the world, you can list your products on Child Afrique.
Okay. So how can people access? How can they get to you
So
to
yeah,
get their products
it's
there?
easy. Whether you're a vendor or a buyer, just log on to www.childafrique.com. Child Afrique with QUE, not
Okay.
K.
Okay.
So the Child Afrique, AFRIQUE.com. And you'll see, on the top left corner, become a vendor. Just follow the steps there. Easy peasy.
Okay.
And we'll definitely correspondence, should I call it correspondence, or our staff in the back end, our support staff will definitely be communicating with you.
So you can be there as a vendor and as a buyer.
Yeah, vendors buy too.
Okay.
So you can be there. So buyers just need to go there and shop.
Okay.
And of course, create their profiles if they want to keep coming back. But vendors are the ones who are required basically to have a shop, a store on the platform.
Okay.
So people can easily direct people.
Is it free?
Yes, it's free to list on Child Afrique. However, we take a commission on sales.
Okay.
Yes, and it's very little, believe me. It is very little, as low as 5%.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So how about social media handles?
Okay, yeah. Our social media handles across all social media platforms is the same. At the Child Afrique, THECHILDAFRIQUE, at the Child Afrique, on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram.
Okay. So does it mean that if I have a product that is not African made, that is not a local made product, I can't sell?
So this is why I said it's made by African brands, not made in Africa. We understand the challenge, of capacity within Africa at the moment. And so in order to give room for entrepreneurs who are within Africa that have gone to other countries to make their products. We have entrepreneurs in Nigeria who have gone to produce in America, who have gone to produce in the UK, who have gone to produce in China. As long as you are an African brand, you have made these things, and these things have passed through the regulatory authorities, have passed through NAFDAC, have passed through SON, we'll take them and provide you the platform to reach many more customers, and get your product sold.
Why did you choose to sell maternity care products, and the fact that it's a local made product, they are not foreign?
Okay, so I started with foreign, in 2015. After I had my baby in the US. And when I got to the US, I wasn't quite prepared for the baby. As a matter of fact, it was the day I went for a scan to know the gender of the baby that they asked me to go in for delivery, for an emergency delivery.
Wow.
Because I had high blood pressure.
Okay.
So I didn't shop for my baby. I had her.
At what month?
I was 38 weeks.
Okay, 30. Okay.
I was 38 weeks, so I was ready. The doctor said there was no reason to keep the baby in there with this high risk of hypertension. So we had to get the baby out. And I hadn't shopped. So 2 days after...
You had the baby?
No, I had the baby the next day. Okay. After the scan, the next day. 2 days after, when I got home, I had to go and shop. I was in pain, serious pain. But I still had to buy clothes, buy the essentials.
And there was no one to do that for you?
Of course there was. My auntie was there to do the shopping. But I didn't trust her. I didn't
like
trust
to know
her
your choice.
To know my choice and to know what I would want. So she wanted me to stay back, but I insisted. and went with her. And of course, because I experienced a lot of pain on that trip to the mall, I decided I wouldn't be going back to the mall, to get anything. So my cousin suggested for me to shop online. So that was what I did. I started shopping for my baby's clothes and other things I wanted to get for her online. It was so easy. To be honest with you, I had not seen anything like that in Nigeria at the time. So while I was doing that shopping online, all that was coming to me was, how easy would it be if moms in Nigeria can shop online without having to go to a co-market, without having to go into the open market with all the stress of carrying a big belly, or if peradventure there was any mom like me who couldn't buy anything before they had the baby, this would be so much, respite for them in that sense. And that was when I started making my research. By the time I got back home, I knew I was going to do this. So I scheduled a trip back to America to shop, for this thing. So I shopped and brought them back, set up the website, and launched on, I think, September of 2015. Okay. And that was how we started. In the course of doing this business, interacting with moms, seeing other businesses spring up, then I began to notice that a lot of Nigerians were now in this baby and maternity care retail space, not only retailing things, but manufacturing products for their children. It started with as simple as mixing shea butter and coconut oil for the skin of babies, and I started seeing brands grow, and this was when I saw potential for this retail industry. In 2020 of February, I had my second child. This was almost 6 years after my first, and COVID was happening around the world. Yeah. It had not happened to us in Nigeria at the time, but of course the logistics issues had started. COVID was already impacting on global supply chain. I had shopped some things for my son from America at the time, but my son came earlier than expected at 36 weeks, and those items had not arrived. So I was there with a child at the hospital without my essentials. My husband had to buy some things, so I guided him, buy from this person, let's order from this person, let's order from this person. I knew the vendors because I was in the industry. I knew the brands that were making great products for kids, and that was what I did. When I did that, I realized that, so what's the point importing all these things from America, from UK, when we have them within? What's the point? And this was when I started to think of creating a hub where manufacturers of items and essentials for babies, for children's clothing and other essentials, for maternity care, where they could come together, create like a one-stop shop where mothers can come and buy. Now, these products that I used were good. I used them I would not use anything that is not good for my child, especially even having tasted quality from abroad. I would not compromise. And also being in that industry, selling in that industry, I wouldn't make any compromises. So I decided now it's time for the world to see Africa and see the great things that we produce.
That we have,
and that's how I started. this other business in. So it was more like a transition from
yes.
that first business that I started in 2015 to starting this one in 2022. Actually, 7 years after.
Wow. You know, I really do like the fact that you saw the beauty. And I wish that people can also see the beauty in what we have here and what we produce here. But a lot of people do not still have that belief in what we have here in this country. Now, I want us to bring it down to Nigeria. Let's look around us. What do you think, or why do you think people do not really embrace made in Nigeria products? Why?
It still goes back to our colonial mindset. This thing is ingrained in us that anything made out of Africa is better for us. The white men had to use that mindset to sell to us. You know, that's why they will take valuables from Africa and give us something as silly as a mirror. That's why they'll take valuables from us and give us something as silly as a comb, you know. And it's still the mindset that if it's coming from the white people, then it is better. But it is not true. When you have not experienced something, you are likely not to know the value of it. You're likely not to know the value of it. And I dare say that if I didn't experience the Niger products or the made in Nigeria products for my child at that critical time, I may never have found out that those products were good. Let me also say that before my son was born, I had used Nigerian products for my daughter. I won't mention brand names, you know, but I used black soap for our body. I used the lotion made in Nigeria. In fact, made in Surulere. You know, our hair products. I bought clothes from Nigerian vendors, Nigerian fashion designers, you know, and a lot of things, and even for myself.
But you know, a lot of people still believe that, because I don't know where we are going to outgrow this mindset of saying whatever you buy here in Nigeria cannot be compared to the quality of what you get outside there. Like someone wants to give birth to a child expecting a baby, will feel like, oh no, whatever I want to get has to be quality. And that quality that she's talking about is maybe imported goods and products. We don't believe so.
Know.
Yeah.
That's because they don't know. And that's what I am trying to do. And I know I can't do it alone. I mean, I'm just one out of how many millions of Nigerians? You know, I can't do it alone. But I'm championing the cause to orientate Nigerians, Africans. Let them, when they even see the brands that are playing in this field, when they see the products, this product aesthetically can compete with products that are coming from abroad. If they can compete aesthetically, then they will get a chance to even get in your hands. But if you do not even give the opportunity for these products to be visible to all, how would they know? And that's why I'm bringing them together in one hub. Okay, let's bring them together here. And then we market our own platform for people to come and see. So when they get there and they see, oh, see, these cereals that I see in supermarkets are made in Nigeria. Oh, this lotion that I see, or even this lotion, as beautiful as it is made in Nigeria, then they are going to want to give it a try, especially when all the benefits have been highlighted for them to see.
You know, in as much as we tend to create more awareness about this, to encourage Nigerians to use local made products, how do we handle a situation whereby Because I believe one of the reasons why most Nigerians don't embrace our product here is because sometimes our manufacturers here, they use like low quality
So that's
materials.
where-
So that is where the trust, that's where the trust is like not found.
That's where standardization comes in. Nigerians must believe in the system that is being created. That's why we have NAFDAC. That's why we have SON. That's why we have all these regulatory industry, regulatory organizations to ensure that whatever it is that you're putting out is safe for use and good for use. And so Nigerians just need to believe in the systems that are created. Our counterparts abroad, they believe in their system. And that's why they will use anything. I was saying to you earlier that most of the products that are made by American brands are made in China. But why do Americans buy those American brands? Because they know that the government of America will not allow nonsense to come into America.
Into their country, exactly.
So if we believe that NAFDAC will not allow nonsense to come, then we should embrace these products and use them and let it grow our economy. There is no economy that is dependent on imports that can prosper.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's a fact.
Because what it means is that all the money you're making within, you're giving it out
to another country. Exactly.
So why not let's use the money that we're making within and let it remain within.
Okay, so now, because I like the fact that you pointed that out, that we need to stop like depending on other countries, like getting their products, importing and keep importing. We import everything.
We import everything
in this country. But until we start embracing our own local produce before we can actually grow as a nation.
Yes.
And this is where the economy comes in. It will grow the economy, and even we ourselves will be good. Things will not even be expensive this way that we are saying it. Okay, now you are into maternity care business. How do you convince people to buy your products? How do you convince them?
Basically, I liked...
Especially those who are used to foreign products.
I like the benefits to them. I like the benefits to them. Make the manufacturers, give them testers. Let them experience this product. We're also trying to get a trade fair organized, an exhibition, where moms can actually come and experience these products. So you come, we give you testers, we give you, we do demos for food and cereals. You know, we do demos. Your babies can actually taste and experience them there. If they love it, you know how it is with babies.
Yeah.
When you think they're going to like something, you buy it and they don't like it at the end of the day. Even these imported products. I've seen moms, you know, even my own child, these imported cereals, I chattered and packed. When I gave him, he didn't like it. It was a Nigerian Nutri-Bomb, or what's that thing called, that he loved. And so our manufacturers are making products that are suited to the African child. I mean, an American company is mixing broccoli and something together for an African child who doesn't have palate for broccoli. You know, but do amala and ogbono. I have a vendor on our platform that makes amala and ogbono already mixed for the child.
Really?
Yes. And their children, the babies that eat those foods, they love it.
Wow.
Amala and ogbono, steaming hot.
Okay, it's like amala and ogbono powder.
It's not powder. It's pureed.
Okay.
It's pureed, and when you give the child, you know, it's the taste of, I don't know. if I try to be superstitious here, I mean, a child who has been breastfed, whose mom had been eating amala and ogbono, you think the child cannot know that it's amala and ogbono? Yeah. I'm just kidding. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This product are suited to our African children. And so the likelihood of rejection is slim. It's slim.
And even if you look at all of these imported like cereal products, they are way too expensive. And a lot of people would not even like feel like a lot of people would not mind the cost because we have this mindset in this part of the world that if it's not expensive, it's not quality.
So one of the things that we try to make sure that our vendors do is good presentation of their products, branding. When you present your products well to people, they will accept it. When you give them a fair price, listing the benefits, they will accept it. It may not be easy, but testimonials from the ones who have used it also convince the ones who haven't.
Yes.
And so these are the efforts that we're making to ensure that people embrace this product even more.
Okay, now for those who have their products, Nigerians who are, we have so many, we are talented in this part of the world. We have so many talented young women and men out there that have skills, that have made their research, they've discovered a lot of solutions to a lot of things. But the fear of not being accepted by people, Nigerians, it's what is killing some people and not making them like push that thing to the
and that's why we are here,
to the world. So now for someone who have that maybe you have something that you have created yourself as a Nigerian, what are the steps, what are the things that such person needs to do to like make that particular product be accepted?
If you have created something phenomenal, you're not going to hide it. Believe me. If you have created something phenomenal, it's either people can attest to it, or you can show people that your own child or even you have used it and nothing has gone wrong with you, or you are the better for it. If you can show people proof, I mean, it's laziness that will not make someone who has a phenomenal product to give proof of what they have done.
Yeah.
So if you have proof for something you have created, nothing big started mighty. Everything starts with tiny seeds. Everything starts small. So if you are convinced that you have created something phenomenal, bring it out. Let people see it. The 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 people who experience it firsthand will be your crusaders eventually.
Yeah.
And that's why we are also here, to help you project and give your brand even more visibility.
Okay, thank you so much for that, and I hope that Nigerians with this, let me put it this way, with these few points of ours, I hope you have been convinced that we all should please embrace our local made products.
Yes.
And this has a lot of impact on our economy, to boost the economy, to make the economy grow. Even who need to start importing everything, even the prices of things will be reduced, because if we start producing here and we don't have to get them outside the country, we all are going to be very fine at last. All right, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for that insight, the
And
awareness.
I'm also wearing
and everything.
Nigerian.
Yeah, you're wearing Nigerian. I'm also wearing Nigeria. This is sewn by Nigeria.
Can you imagine? And it doesn't look like that. It looks imported.
You see, so that is the beauty that we have in this our country. But until we sit down and discover yourself, bring out the best in you, try to produce something, make research. We have so many problems. So many problems you have in this country. You can sit down and think about it. What can you do to solve this problem? What can you invent? What can you make research on? There was someone that told me that there is, because I heard it for the first time, that, instead of you using glasses, there is a contact lens. The contact lens, You will be removing and removing. But I heard there is a permanent one, which is recommended. That's recommended a contact lens. You need to remove it. It will be there. I was like, wow, are you serious? But I know it's someone that invented that as well. So that's why I said we have so many problems. Just look around, discover yourself, and produce something, and let Nigerians accept Nigerians. Until we start accepting ourselves, accepting what we produce here, that is how we can actually benefit and eat the good of the land. If we want to eat the good of the land, we need to start embracing things that we produce ourselves.
Right.
All right, thank you so much for being a part of this interview, and I hope that you have learned a lot from it. So thank you so much to our guests for today. I really appreciate your take on this show. All right, viewers, stay with us. We'll be back after this time out. Yeah, thank you so much for being a part of today's episode of Amazing Amazon. This is where we draw the curtain of the show, and hope you have learned a lot from today's episode. We need to understand that until we begin to embrace our own made in Nigerian products before we can boost the economy. This has a lot of impact on economic growth. So it's so important for us to adhere to this our talk, especially what our guest for today has given to us. So thank you so much for being a part of today's episode of the show. So till I come your way again next weekend, I remain Tosin Adeyemi. Bye.